Welcome, NoDQ Galaxy, and we are back for another edition of the NoDQ Review, and this is number 41, and I am Virtue here, the moderator. I know some of you may not like me, but I'm going to do my best, because there are some people that actually do. And I'm here with the team, Caitlin, ladies first, Aaron Rift, and Big G. How's everybody doing? And, of course, I'm going to start with ladies first.
Me?
Who am I going to say?
I'm doing great.
How's it going?
Good.
You're excited to
be on tonight, yes.
Cool. Well, we got some good topics, and I just mentioned them to everybody before we started, because I don't like blindsiding people, but there might be one little thing in this show I'll randomly bring up that you guys won't expect. Aaron, how's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to talk about the new era of WWE and see what everybody thinks. Big G, how are you feeling?
I'm doing great, enjoying this lovely Tuesday evening, and I'm also excited for this new era of WWE.
Are you really excited, though?
No, I'm not excited.
We'll talk about that a little bit, but first, let's talk about TLC. The hangover, I guess. Any last-second thoughts? You know what, I can't remember. I did not go on the chat that night, Aaron. What grade did you give that show?
I believe I gave it... Wow, I'm forgetting what letter grade I gave the show.
Okay. Well, I'll come back to you. I gave it a C+. And, usually, to me, it just felt middle of the road, but I absolutely enjoyed that TLC match. So, Caitlin, I'll start with you. What are your final thoughts from TLC? Was it just another December pay-per-view, or did it have its moments?
I thought it definitely had its moments. I loved Bryan and AJ match, and I was actually kind of watching through my hands at a couple points because I wanted Bryan to retain, both just because I wanted him to and also because of the points going for who was going to win in the predictions.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. So I was really invested in that match. And also, too, Natty and Ruby Riott I was also pretty invested in. And I was, getting kind of tense and stuff for that one. And then the triple threat match was probably my favorite. So those, I would say, were all great moments. A lot of the other matches were kind of meh.
Now, and that's interesting, and those are good takes. I kind of liked Ronda's match, and I know it was against Nia, but Ronda's doing a little bit more every time we see her. The dive was incredible.
Right.
I go back and look at that animated GIF, whatever you want to call it, on my Twitter feed over and over again. Great shot, by the way, cameraman. Aaron, what's your thoughts on TLC? I'm starting to buy into Ronda more and more every time I see her.
I agree with you 100%. I think I did give the show a B-. I did enjoy it. Like Caitlin said, the main event delivered. I think that people were going in expecting that triple threat TLC match to deliver, and I felt that they did. I did enjoy Natalya's match with Ruby Riott, the tables match. I liked how Liv Morgan took that bump off the apron through the table. That was really cool. I enjoyed the Ronda Rousey match, too. I think Ronda is just getting better with every single performance. There were a few low points of the show. I think Rollins and Ambrose was probably the biggest disappointment overall. But, yeah, I thought it was a solid show. I think it was too long, but I say that about pretty much every WWE main roster pay-per-view at this point. Big G, any thoughts you had on the show?
I enjoyed TLC. It had its moments. The TLC match, of course, with Becky, Charlotte, and Asuka. I didn't see Ronda coming out there. Well, I mean, I did see it, but we didn't see it coming. Daniel Bryan and AJ I enjoyed as well. I did enjoy the spot from Rey Mysterio when he took the chair and slid underneath the ring. It kind of reminded me of, they said
Clark Griswold going down the hill.
Yes.
The what?
Clark Griswold going down the hill and the saucer.
Yep, that. And from Home Alone when Kevin went down the stairs with his sled, it kind of reminded me of that too.
That was so much fun. I always wanted to do that. I fantasized about doing what Kevin did going down the stairs.
Oh God! that would be fun. What else did I enjoy? Ronda's match, obviously. We all agree she's getting a lot better with her in work, her in-ring style.
Right.
And what else did I enjoy? That was pretty much it.
Yeah, I thought Orton and Mysterio was kind of meh, other than that one spot, though.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, Mysterio did do something innovative, but that was about it.
Right.
Just that moment. Other than that, I mean, I would give TLC a B, if anything, a solid B.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I feel that was the harshest one, I think. So the TLC match, not the Baron Corbin and Strowman one, obviously they had to do that way. I get it.
Yeah.
But the ladies match was something I am all in now with the Charlotte, Becky, and anything they're involved with Ronda, because I've not just seen a couple, like one or two matches, they're now constantly delivering. And Becky's character is great. She knows how to use Twitter. You know, Charlotte, she's Ric Flair's daughter, the entitled one. So I just think that WWE has a lot with this. And I know everybody's talking about let's get Becky and Ronda in the main event of WrestleMania. And before that, it was Charlotte Ronda. I'm sorry. I'm pushing for Charlotte versus Becky versus Ronda at the main event of WrestleMania. Why not? Daniel Bryan was in a triple threat, you know.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's TLC. You know, just quick final thoughts. Let's move on. This week on Raw and SmackDown, the McMahons were back and Triple H. So we saw Vince come out. Man, he's starting to look old. I don't know. I think Vince's problem, the red around his eyes, the guy doesn't sleep. He's working out at midnight. He's constantly thinking about his product. XFL's coming up. He just needs sleep. So I think that's why he looks like that. Plus, he's 70-some years old. But I just want everybody's thoughts on McMahon and family, their appearances on Raw and SmackDown. I finally just briefly saw what Vince did on SmackDown. Okay. Are we getting false promises? Aaron, I want to start with you. I just feel like we're getting false promises.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I'm not convinced that we're going to see a big turnaround here. I feel like it's just going to be more of the same, and this is just blowing smoke out there just to try to make people feel like there's going to be changes, when really I feel like it's just going to be more of the same in 2019. You know, we saw on SmackDown Mustafa Ali pinned Daniel Bryan. Will we see him continue to be pushed, or will he just lose to Bryan in a singles match next week or in 2 weeks, and then he goes back to the mid-card or whatever? I'm just not convinced, you know? I feel like I wanted more out of this whole shakeup. I wanted them to actually say, hey, we are creatively going to make this show better, instead of just saying, oh, we're going to bring back the McMahons. I mean, the McMahons are already running the show. They've already been in charge. So how are things really different, you know? It just isn't working for me up to this point. But Big G, your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give it a couple weeks and see how it goes. And, you know, if it stays the same, then, you know, well, it is what it is.
Real quick, I just wanted to add, I actually thought that Vince Russo's Nitro reset, that episode, the April 10th, 2000 Nitro, was a more entertaining show than the Raw we had on Monday. So there you go, Virtue. All right, continue.
Well, Big G said benefit of the doubt, and he constantly says that on his podcast.
Right.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with the McMahons and Triple H coming out every week and running both shows and no longer having general managers on both shows. Other than that, there's not much else I can say about it. Caitlin, what do you think?
I'm also doubtful that anything is different is going to happen, but I kind of agree with you that I'm willing to give it a little bit of time, because maybe they didn't want to give everything away night one of what they were changing up. So I'm willing to wait a little bit and see, but I also kind of feel like it's probably just going to be more of the same. The one thing that I'm wondering the most about is that comment of like the audience is the authority. So I don't know if something is happening with that.
That had to be a troll.
I was like, what does that all mean? So just kind of waiting to see how it plays out. I think SmackDown was better, as usual
As
than
usual.
Raw.
Well, here's the thing, to use Jeff's line, if the fans are in fact the authority now, does that mean that Brock Lesnar is going to defend the Universal title on Raw? Will we actually see Lesnar wrestle on Raw? I mean, they made a big deal out of it on television. Seth Rollins was like, hey, Brock Lesnar hasn't shown up on Raw to do a match since like 2002. And that's like...
It should. That'd be exciting.
That's one of the biggest complaints about WWE right now, is that the Universal Champion never shows up and Brock never wrestles on the television shows.
Does he still live in Minnesota? I think he lives up that way. If Raw's going to Minneapolis or St. Paul anytime soon, that would be perfect. That crowd, right. I think there would be general, like, big-time excitement if he walked out there knowing that there was a match about to happen on Raw with Brock in a title defense. That would be cool. That would shake things up.
Yeah, so if that doesn't happen, I'm not that convinced that we're really going to see any kind of changes.
Interesting. Well, since we have no GMs now, what's next for Corbin and Paige? So we kind of saw the Corbin thing coming.
Right.
The Paige thing, it was kind of weird the way they did that, but, they're rebooting everything in their mind, so they're going to strip the GMs. So what's next? I guess we could say, don't worry about who the GMs are going to be, because it's going to be the McMahons. They're going to be running the shows. So what do you think's next for Paige and Corbin? Especially Paige, because she can't work. So, Caitlin, what do you think?
Well, for Paige, I have no idea what they're going to do with her. I know in the chat just a little bit ago, people were saying, like, maybe commentating, maybe somebody said, like, the leader of the women's division. I don't know what that person actually would do, but so yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with her, but they did say that she's going to be staying, so she's doing something. Did you want me to talk about Corbin too right now?
Yeah, do them both, and then we'll pass it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this one I actually talked with female Aaron about, because I wasn't sure what to do with him.
I'm sorry, because I didn't do it at the top of the show. I'm kidding.
I know. I was waiting for it earlier.
So I wanted to give her credit. These are her ideas. She wanted to have him kept off TV for a little while to have kind of the people forget everything that just happened, and that they just like used him as the kind of the pawn in this whole reset, and to maybe like come back at Royal Rumble and then like, do kind of well there, and then get him in some kind of feud that actually matters, to build him back up as like a wrestler and not somebody that's like half authority, half wrestler and whatnot. So yeah. Big G.
So, Big G will go with you. And you know what? I thought Corbin as GM, it kind of had that. I thought he articulated pretty well as he did it. I know that the decisions they had his character make is what got him the heat, wrestling and bending the rules. I kind of got the Johnny Laurinaitis vibe from him, like authority-wise. What do you think, Big G?
About Corbin being GM?
Yeah, like what type of vibe? Like, how do you think he did? You think, like from a promo standpoint, Corbin was like really boring before that, and I think this could help him in the long run.
He was, but I agree with Caitlin a little bit. Have him get off TV for a little bit, and possibly the Royal Rumble, and have him come back to a decent feud. To make him a wrestler again, and hopefully try to forget about this whole, has it been 2 months, 3 months that he's been acting GM?
Feels longer than that to me.
The Constable with Kurt Angle for a while, too.
Constantly, oh, Lord. Yeah. God almighty. Well, hopefully he doesn't grow his hair back. I
don't think he can.
As far as Paige goes, I have no freaking idea. She's not cleared to wrestle, obviously. Being on commentary, okay. Being a manager, possibly, for somebody, I could see that. Going back to, oh God, not what was that with her and Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville?
Absolution.
Yeah, she can go back.
She should manage Asuka, because then she could talk for Asuka.
Yeah. I could see one of those things, but I think the manager would be the best option for her. Aaron?
I agree with you about Paige. I think she would make a great manager. She can talk, she can cut promos, so let her do that. As far as Baron Corbin goes, I feel like maybe there could be like a happy medium where he's not exactly a manager, but he could be like a bodyguard for somebody. Maybe he could be Ziggler's new bodyguard, replace Drew McIntyre or something like that. Baron Corbin did do a good job with the Constable role. I think the problem was that once he became the GM-elect, like his character was being overexposed on television. We were seeing too much of him, and he was just basically being the fall guy for the ratings being down. Everyone was putting the blame on him, and WWE and the storyline was blaming it on him. So he's kind of in a bad spot right now because people are associating the record low ratings with Baron Corbin's reign of terror. So I think Caitlin made a great point. Maybe he should take a little bit of time off, maybe come back at the Rumble and maybe go on a rampage, like eliminate 10 guys or something, have a really good showing and try to build him up as a monster again. But yeah, I think it would be a mistake if he cut his hair. I'm not sure what else you can do with him, though. He is in a bit of a rough spot right now in WWE because if he does take time off...
You mean if he grew his hair back out? Aaron, you mean if he grew his hair back out? You said if he cut his hair.
Oh, yeah. Threw it out. That's what I meant. Sorry.
It'd be a mistake if he grew it back out.
Yeah, I think that his look is good now, so I would not change it. I'm just concerned about if he takes time off, out of sight, out of mind type of vibe with him, similar to Bray Wyatt. Wyatt's been gone for a while, and when you're not around, people start to forget about you, and you lose that momentum, and it's hard to get that spot back when there's so many people on the roster and so few spots. I think it's going to be tough for him to really be able to come back from this. He was in a pretty good position, but what do you do with him now? That's a great question. I don't know. What do you think, Virtue?
Well, when he was the full-time GM, he was kind of in that Roman spot. Roman would always be on Raw, probably the most out of anybody for the most part. And then when Roman left, in a non-wrestling, well, no, he wrestled in a non-wrestling role. Sorry, Corbin wrestled in his TGI Fridays gear. That's the problem. He was probably on Raw more than anybody else, and the fact is it's a GM authority figure, and it's a heel one. Fans are obviously not going to like it because he's always putting stuff in his favor. So, that might be the best idea that you guys came up with, have him be off for a while and have him come back fresh. But I think at least he did better than Brad Maddox. So, what do you guys think?
There you go. Yeah, he did.
Aaron, you brought him up. Bray Wyatt. That's who I want to talk about next. See, you read my mind. So Bray has been off for a while. Everybody knows before he went off, they just pounded the Bray Wyatt character into the ground. It made it almost a joke. We had some cool stuff, but it really, really cooled off, I would say, the past year and a half of his character. Now we're getting cryptic tweets. And when we see this, we hope that they have plans for him. It's just kind of to get people talking. He's coming back, for whatever reason. And it makes me think when I read these tweets, goodbye or this and that. I'm sure everybody in the NoDQ galaxy is following it. Aaron's put some posts up on NoDQ.com. I want to see Bray Wyatt become like when Mankind became Mick Foley. Now, I know that was kind of comedy because that, he did the Three Faces of Foley at first. And then he became, Mankind with Vince McMahon and got screwed over at Survivor Series 98. But then he really became the lovable Mick Foley that everyone wanted to see go to the top. And he did. People popped for it. I think Wyatt is in a similar situation where I think there's still people that like him that maybe thought WWE ruined the Wyatt character. I don't know if he's going to be called Wyndham Rotunda. I believe that's his real name. It's kind of a, not a wrestling name, although it is in a way. Jeff Meacham would say that because it's Barry Windham's name.
Right.
But he could just still be called Bray Wyatt, but act like a character babyface, completely different. Cut, let me guess, shoot promos. Caitlin, what do you think? I like Bray. I have since he's been called up from NXT with the Wyatts. I'm kind of excited for these cryptic tweets. Am I wrong? Am I off base? Are we going to be let down?
Well, hopefully not. But, I think there's a probability that we could be let down. Yep. One thing I noticed in the tweets is that he used us a couple times. I forget exactly what he said, but something about us and we won't let you down or something. So I didn't know if this was somehow implying all of the Wyatt family back together, coming back in a different gimmick, maybe.
That's a good point.
So I don't know if that's happening, but yeah, I just hope whatever it is that it's interesting and that they actually give him a good push.
Right. Well, I think that they should have had like Harper be teamed up with Bray Wyatt and do something with those guys, because Harper's doing nothing right now, and a lot of people would say Harper is one of the most underused guys in the company and underutilized for sure. I would have liked to have seen a possible Wyatt family reunion, but maybe change something up, whether it's their look or their entrance, or do something different with them just to freshen them up a little bit. I think that would be a good idea. But Big G, what do you think?
I agree with all you guys. I like Bray Wyatt, ever since he came up from NXT as well. I don't, something about all these NXT call-ups I get good vibes from, but then
slow your roll, Big G. We'll get there. We'll slow your roll. We'll get there.
And when he first came up, his character was really good, and then like Virtue said, like the past year and a half or so, it really kind of went nowhere. Then he turned face, finally, teamed up with Matt Hardy, and with the cryptic tweet and everything. I was hoping he would come back at TLC and be Strowman's, mystery partner, but in the end, we got all the other Raw guys. So we'll see when he comes back. Will people still love him? I like Virtue's idea, have him be kind of like Wyndham Rotunda, and go from there and see what they do. Or, you know what? They might not change anything, and he'll be the same old Bray Wyatt.
He's so good on the mic, though, and he doesn't have to be that dark god, like spooky.
Right.
I'd like to hear him cut like CM Punk type pipe bombs.
Yeah.
That, I think, would be interesting.
Well, his character needs an evolution, just like The Undertaker. The Undertaker was never the same character. He evolved the character over the years, and he would be gone for a while. He would come back. He would change up his look, his entrance, the way he talked, the way he wrestled. I think Bray needs to just evolve the character a little bit and be a different Bray Wyatt. He could still be Bray Wyatt and have that supernatural element to him, but just be a little bit different.
I feel like he's done that, though, a couple times.
What if he went back to Husky Harris?
No, then he would be in Damian Sandow and Curtis Axel territory,
Yeah. But I feel like he hasn't really changed up his music at all. I mean, that would be one thing I would change, maybe remix his music. With The Undertaker always had different music over the years that was a little bit different from the previous version. Same thing with that, changing up the look, changing up his move set, lots of little tweaks to the character overall, just be a slightly different Bray Wyatt.
And hopefully it comes across better than our new, slightly different Dean Ambrose.
Yes.
And I'm going to leave that at that, and we're going to move on to another topic. So we talked about Ronda a little bit earlier, how she's evolving. I know that it's hard. She was a UFC fighter that came into wrestling, and she got mega pushed. But WWE looks at star power, and they're trying to draw more casuals and UFC fans into their product because God knows they need it. But with her bumping ahead of some of the other wrestlers, the female wrestlers, does that kind of rub fans the wrong way, the locker room the wrong way? And what does everybody think with this? And by the time this airs, everyone will probably know the spoilers. Ronda versus Natty. I don't, for this Raw coming up, I don't know if I like friend versus friend. The way they ended that on this week's Raw, it's like, come on. Put her in the armbar or something. I like to see tension. This friend versus friend stuff. Wade Keller has said, if I booked Raw, everybody would be friends, and it would be about, just sports competition and shake hands. You can't do that in wrestling. Maybe once in a blue moon, but wrestling is about anger, fights, feuds, storylines. So Big G, what do you think, Ronda and Natty, friends versus friends? Could they make it interesting?
I'm not a big fan of it. When you're talking about the friendly competition, you think of the Mae Young Classic or the Cruiserweight Classic, where they shake the hands before the match, because it's not really feuds. But with Natty and Ronda being friends, I figured this might have been the time where Aaron wanted Natty to turn on Ronda finally and have a heel Natty, or even have a heel Ronda, one of the two, you know. But we'll see what happens next week on Raw. I didn't read the spoilers because I don't like reading spoilers. I don't know what else to say about it. Aaron?
Well, I agree about what Virtue said. I feel like wrestling should be about grudges, and it's like a soap opera, right? So you want conflict. Storytelling is about conflict between characters. So all the sportsmanship, you know, that's goody two-shoes indie stuff. You can go watch Ring of Honor or PWG for that stuff. I want to see some bad blood. I want to see people calling each other the B word. I want to see... I love when Rollins was calling Ambrose a piece of shit. That was great. And even Natalya calling Ruby a bitch and slapping her as hard as she could. That was another great part of TLC. That was hilarious, other than the fact that Natalya immediately apologized to her afterwards. But that's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to see it get really personal between these superstars. So we'll see. I would hope that this Ronda and Natalya feud is going to be more than just one match. I feel like that there should be something leading up to the Royal Rumble where the intensity gets turned up. I found it weird that they're actually doing the match on the Christmas Eve edition of Raw. I thought, you know what, they built up Natalya so much. She won at TLC, beat up pretty much the entire Riot Squad 3-on-1, and then on Raw she won that hour-long gauntlet match, and then they just do this match on the Christmas Eve Raw, and that's it. There's got to be more to it. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday without spoiling anything. Caitlin, any thoughts you have on the storyline and what you might like to see out of it?
Well, I agree that I don't really like how it just seemed to happen very quickly and thrown in there type thing. And then especially that we knew that they were like wrestling it later that night. And
right.
So I didn't like that, but I do think that you can have a friend versus friend match. I like
in
everything.
Japan.
Well, hold on. I liked everything you said, Aaron, and I think that, like, I like seeing all that stuff too, but that doesn't mean every single match has to be like the same way and at the highest intensity. There can be other ones within a card, you know?
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like they're just throwing this one away, and it seems like that would be a shame because they've sort of been building the Natty thing with her since she first came to WWE. And then they kind of diverted to do the Bellas thing for a while. But it was like Natty was right there with her as a friend at the beginning. And so you were thinking she was going to do the turn for a bit.
Yeah.
And so maybe she still will turn, you know?
Yeah. I thought, like, if anything, maybe Jim Neidhart's death postponed whatever plans they had for that storyline. Maybe they'll revisit that now, and we'll see a full-fledged Ronda and Natalya feud. And, you know, in the meantime, we have Becky and Charlotte could potentially enter the Royal Rumble, and that'll be the big storyline to see who goes to WrestleMania. But I would like to see the Natalya-Ronda thing be a match at the Royal Rumble and at least go to that point.
Me too.
Yeah, and I think Natty deserves it. I mean, she's been with the company for a while. I mean, she's held the title before, but, you know, since the newer generation of females have come in, Natty's just kind of been the good little hand, so to speak. So I'm glad that she's getting to wrestle Ronda, you know, because they are pals, but I don't know. I just don't like buddy in wrestling, but that's just me.
Yeah, but it might just be this match that's coming up for next week, and then it will develop into something else.
Right, which is fine with me. Yeah,
that would be good. So, all right, well, good thoughts. John Cena, we got to talk about you. We need ratings, right, Mr. Tito? We need ratings on the NoDQ review. So I'm going to talk about John Cena, and Aaron's going to put a picture of him on the still shot of the video. Do you think, with ratings being at the all-time low, and we know Cena's in Hollywood filming movies, 2019's coming up, though, right? WrestleMania season. You never know. I think WWE botched it with Cena last year in Mania season. Do you think, which we know he can help the ratings, but do you think he'll come back for a good stint? Or is it going to be Rock-type part-time, Brock Lesnar part-time? Aaron Rift, I'm going to start with you. Does WWE need John Cena?
I think John Cena would definitely help the numbers. And I did touch upon this on NoDQ video last week, but I'll just recap what I said in a nutshell. Basically, I think he will come back and have one more run. It's just a matter of the timing, when's his schedule going to be free and whatnot. Apparently, he's doing another movie, so he may miss WrestleMania. It's possible, but it would not surprise me if he wins the 17th world title in 2019. That was my prediction. I'm sticking with it. I think he is going to come back and win that 17th title. He still has that to do. One more mountain to climb, break Ric Flair's record. Yeah, I think it's going to happen.
He will. I got that feeling too, Aaron.
I would bet money that that's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen this next coming year. Might not happen at WrestleMania, but perhaps by the summer, maybe Toronto SummerSlam. If we're all there for the big NoDQ meetup, we'll get to see John Cena's historic 17th title victory. So, Caitlin, what do you think about that? Do you think John Cena is going to get that 17th title win, and if so, when?
I do, and I also think it will be in the next year because of the fact that he's been doing a lot of interviewing, talking about kind of like slowing down and stuff like that as far as wrestling. He did just tweet like yesterday or today a lot of dates that he's doing for WWE.
Right.
I think it was like 10 to 12 dates with the little lightning punch symbols. So I assume that means that those are WWE dates that he listed.
Right.
And it looked like a lot of house shows too, which to me, would indicate that he is gearing up for something, at least to be wrestling a little bit coming up pretty soon here. So anyway, but I do think if he's going to do the 17th win, it's got to be soonish.
Right. Who do you think he should beat, Caitlin?
Ooh.
Yeah, and should it be for the WWE Championship, since that's the more historic one than the Universal?
Right. Well, that's what I would prefer, but
Yeah, versus Bryan, that's a possibility.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about that earlier, like that they haven't really had a thing. That would be interesting.
I mean, they did have the match at SummerSlam 2013, but basically they were both faces. This time Bryan would technically be the heel. Of course, I think most people would cheer Bryan, but maybe Bryan could work his magic and get some heel heat and get people to actually cheer for Cena and root for Cena to actually beat him and win that 17th title. I think if anybody could do it, it would be Bryan. Bryan's been on a roll with his vegan, save the earth gimmick. I mean, he's really on fire right now. Big G, what do you think? What would you like to see if Cena does, in fact, go for the 17th title? And do you even want to see it to happen or no?
Well, John Cena doesn't need WWE. WWE needs John Cena.
Ooh.
Yep.
Next week, Friday, SmackDown is having a house show right here in Baltimore, Maryland. And John Cena is advertised, so I'll most likely be going to watch that. Not because of John Cena, but just to go watch a SmackDown house show because it's been almost 11 years since I've been to a house show. Now, do I want John Cena to win the 17th title? Absolutely freaking not. He does not need it.
Ooh, elaborate.
The man has done pretty much everything in WWE except win the IC title, but that's neither here or there. He's doing movies in Hollywood, which is good for him. He needs to move on from the WWE and let the younger talent get their moment. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
I feel like he has been doing that, though.
He's been doing so good in Hollywood. I mean, he's got Bumblebee coming out.
That's right. I'm going to go watch that.
So,
I'm sorry.
Like I said, he's done everything in WWE. The man's been there from, back in OVW 2001 to this past year's WrestleMania. So,
but John Cena's still the man, People still cosplay as him and dress up like him, and you know it's still cool to dress up like John Cena. Apparently,
knowing Vince McMahon, if this did happen, and I would imagine it would still count for the record, haven't beat Brock Lesnar. Haven't beat Brock Lesnar. win the Universal title. I guess that would count, right? And then have Cena, when he does drop the title, pass the torch. Finally, pass the torch to some Seth Rollins. I mean, Rollins has already been up there, but you know what I mean. It could be. I mean, if Brock's not going to pass the torch, let Cena be that guy. And if Cena's going to break the record, why not beat Brock? People would pop for that. So, very, very interesting John Cena thoughts. And you can't see me until we see him again, right?
Right.
All right. So this topic, since it's almost the end of the year for 2018, Big G, you and I kind of did this on Virtue's Rage. Moments or matches. So we'll go around the horn here. What do you prefer individually? Moments, and we probably have talked about this before, or great matches? And what was your moment and match of 2018? And this can go beyond. I know, on the spot. And if, obviously we watch a lot of wrestling, so you'll be able to say something. Aaron Rift, I'll start with you. 2018, it go beyond WWE. Now, I know for you, it probably won't. You'll probably pick something in WWE, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, I did see All In, and All In was a great pay-per-view. All In was just a great moment, period. Just the fact that they were able to draw that crowd and be able to succeed as a complete independent show, that was definitely a moment in itself. But, I'm definitely a moment person. I do like wrestling, of course. I watch it, but I do like the moments that we can remember 5, 10, 15 years from now. As far as moments that I particularly like that stand out to me, I mean, I really did enjoy the Evolution match with Becky and Charlotte. That was definitely one of my favorites. And that was a moment at the end when you had all the women coming out to close the show. That was a moment right there. So, the fact that they were able to succeed at that level and prove the doubters wrong, to me, that was probably maybe the match and moment of the year. I think I did go with the women's match as the match of the year, and the ending of the pay-per-view was probably my favorite. So I would go with that as my choice. Big G, what do you think?
Oh God, put me on the spot.
It's a loaded question for sure.
It really
That's what we do here on the NoDQ review.
I'm more of a matches kind of guy. I mean, I like the moments as well, Like you said, moments last forever. And, I mean, but matches last forever, too. I mean, there's some great matches that you'll think 5, 10 years from now. I really did enjoy Ronda's first match at WrestleMania, even though it was with Angle, Triple H, and Stephanie. But, the whole crowd was on their feet, like Virtue said last week on Virtue's Rage during that whole match, pretty much. And as far as my favorite moment goes, man, I don't know. Damn.
I know, it's tough to come up with something. I mean, this hasn't exactly been the best year for WWE.
Caitlin's the last to go. I'll go, because maybe this will make it easier. And then you can think of your moment, and then it'll give Caitlin more time to think.
Yeah.
Match-wise, I could say any of Jericho's matches, but everyone knows I'm a Jericho mark, and I'm not going to say that. Collectively, I loved his part-time 2018. Brock Lesnar, Chris Jericho is how you do part-time. Match-wise, I think it happened in 2018. It went very under the radar, thanks to our buddy Dave Meltzer. I liked Switchblade, Jay White versus Kenny Omega. I'm not huge on New Japan, but I thought that was Jay White's coming out party, and he is now tangling up with Okada. I mean, I'm just saying. But because I am a WWE guy, Big G, you hit it right on the head. Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Stephanie and Triple H. I did not think that match was going to be that great. Going to WrestleMania, I'm excited for Brock and Roman, obviously for various reasons. Nakamura and AJ, you name it, Seth and Miz, and everybody stood on their feet a couple minutes into that match. Mm-hmm. Was it technically great? No. But was it sports entertainment at its finest? Yes. So that's probably my match of the year, outside of Jay White and Omega, which I think happened in 2018. As for moment, I am going to revert back to Chris Jericho. When he showed up at All In, beat up Omega, and then we're following along. I don't watch those shows, but I'm following along on Twitter, and that same day, he flies a couple states away and performs at a Fozzy concert with the makeup still on. That is rock star. That is pro wrestling. That's my moment of the year. Big G, do you now have your moment of the year?
I'll let Caitlin go first, and then I'll come back to me.
All right.
Okay, so I have a couple things. First of all, I like matches and moments, so I think you have to have some of both types of things, you know. So anyway, I'm taking my more objective answer is all of Daniel Bryan for this year. Just the comeback, getting to see him, you know, because I was also there at WrestleMania, and you know, seeing that match was very special. I do agree with you about the match you mentioned, though, because that was the only match that everyone did stand for the whole time. None of the other ones they did, and actually people were getting in trouble for standing for some of the matches, except for that one. But back to Daniel Bryan. So getting to see that was really special. And then also now all the way through the heel turn and what he's doing with that is really cool to me. The Royal Rumble for the women, I think, would be my like more personal moment. And also I was really excited that the Bellas came back just for me in that match, because they'd been gone for a while and you know, whatever. But yeah, so that's the more actual answer, and then my personal excitement.
I have one now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's going to be from NXT. The whole Ciampa and Gargano feud. I think that was one of the best. You know, they had good moments in 2018 with all their 3 matches, and Gargano. I think Gargano turning heel was a good moment for me in 2018. I really enjoyed that.
Good picks, everyone. And yes, Jay White and Omega did happen in 2018 because everybody knows Kenny Omega successfully defended the IWGP US title against Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom. He dropped it to Jay White after that. So I just remember you know, that's a problem. A lot of the New Japan haters don't like the no selling or the weak selling of, you know, stiff shots, and that match, go watch Jay White sell. Now, yes, he kicked out and he took a lot of knee strikes, right, knees to faces, but there was one time he was laying down in that match. Omega was pinning him, and he didn't kick out. He got out of the pin by lifting his shoulder up, which is like an instinct move. And again, I thought it was his coming out party. And I'm not big on non-WWE people by any means. That caught my attention.
Right. Oh, Virtue. So I did want to add also, not the follow-up so much, but the Ambrose heel turn was a pretty shocking moment. One of the most shocking moments in Raw. It's just unfortunate that the follow-up hasn't exactly lit the world on fire. And how sad is it that nobody's talking about Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement?
Ooh, that is true.
Yeah, you know what, though? The problem with that is it was Saudi Arabia's show, and it wasn't him versus somebody one-on-one. Could you imagine if Shawn came out of retirement and wrestled somebody at a takeover?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a trainer down there?
Yeah.
Even though it would have been NXT, we'd be talking about it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Like, and even AJ Styles versus Shawn Michaels or Daniel Bryan versus Shawn Michaels.
Gargano versus Shawn Michaels, but I don't know.
And him and Shawn Michaels being, like, completely bald just, like, threw me off a lot. I know that has nothing to do with it, but it's just like seeing him with no hair at all. And
hey, Virtue.
Yeah.
Also, too, and I know we kind of talked about this a while back in the chat about whether, you know, like everything with Roman Reigns is like a moment that should be discussed or not. But I think as far as it was a moment where like we were just so drawn in and like everybody was crying, and it's kind of that moment where you care about the wrestlers as people as well. Yeah. And you are invested in their lives. So I would say
talked about that last week.
You know, I've been asked a lot, like, why do you support Roman? You know, why did you start supporting him right around the time that he beat Undertaker at WrestleMania? Are you trolling us? Because we hate him? Is that why you like him? And I've explained, you know, I've grown up liking the heels or liking who nobody else likes, right?
Right.
Andre versus Hogan. You know, the list goes on. I don't know why I was drawn to liking Roman. I mean, hearing people boo and then me cheering him, that has something to do with it. Somebody upstairs was telling me like Roman. I felt like compassion. Maybe I thought he wasn't being treated fairly because he can't help that that he's Vince McMahon's guy. He's out there supporting his family, and so I understand the business, why Vince did that, why he thinks he can sell merchandise. He looks like a superstar. And when Roman said he had leukemia, and I'm sitting here thinking, wow, I supported this guy who's sick. I mean, whenever it came back, we don't know. And it just made me it made me feel so gratified that I supported a guy that many people didn't. And then I look back and, dude, he's fighting for his life. And to me, that's real life moment versus kayfabe. And I wish that was kayfabe,
Yeah.
I would not be mad if that never happened and WWE used it to get him over, because then I know Roman would be okay.
Right.
As weird as that sounds, but good question. You can get me talking forever on that. So, all right, ready for the main event?
Let's do it.
Big G, you know what the main event is, right? I'll let you introduce it, and you can start. Go. I hope you remember.
The NXT call-ups. We have Lars Sullivan, Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, Heavy Machinery, and everybody's favorite boy, EC3. I'm excited, but I think it's kind of too early. I could see Nikki Cross going to Raw and Lacey Evans going to SmackDown. I could see Heavy Machinery going to Raw and EC3 going to SmackDown.
Here's the big question, because we see NXT call-ups, right? We get them every year. Yeah. And then we see what happens to them. Is there anybody from this list that has a shot to actually catch Vince McMahon's eye? And I think I know who you're going to say, but
I could see EC3 getting a big shot just because, he was there before back in the day. But I'm trying to think why not Shayna Baszler, not why Velveteen Dream, why not Champ, why not Gargano?
Velveteen to me is going to be made, I think.
Heavy Machinery, they're very likable in NXT. But like Aaron said earlier on NoDQ Live, they need a really big push to stay strong. And man, I don't know if that's going to be possible. I think they'll just be lost in the shuffle again. Right. Lacey Evans, I mean, she was good in NXT. She had a good little run. Nikki Cross, I just don't want her going to SmackDown, because then she'll be stuck with Sanity and everybody will forget about her. And I love Nikki Cross, man. I love me some crazy.
Right.
Put her with Bray.
There you go. Have Sister Abigail finally come. I don't know. EC3. I think EC3 will be the best one out of all of them. Lars Sullivan. Oh, yeah. Lars Sullivan. He'll probably
I was waiting for you to remember him.
See, Lars Sullivan, but he really didn't do anything in NXT. He had the one match against Aleister Black for the NXT Championship.
Either did Strowman.
And the only thing I could see happening is Strowman versus Sullivan, and then we won't see Sullivan on TV. I'm just so frustrated. Look at all the talent from NXT. Like we talked about 2 weeks ago, I'm going back to it. You call all these guys up from NXT, and then you don't see them anymore. No, I don't know. Somebody else go. I'm frustrated.
Caitlin.
Yes. I do feel like it's too soon for some of these people. It was kind of like, they obviously left all of the best people right now because those are the ones that they're going to be putting titles on and everything. So they kind of did their next best people, got the call-ups, which, sometimes happens. But I think Nikki Cross is ready. And I don't really think Lacey Evans yet, but I do like her a lot. And so I placed them where I thought they were going to go, not where I think they should go. I think that they will put Nikki Cross with Sanity. So I think she's going to SmackDown. That's not what I want necessarily.
Yeah.
I wrote down Lacey Evans for SmackDown at first, and then I crossed it off because I was going with what I think they're going to do. Anyway, so I did Nikki and EC3 for SmackDown, and the others I said would probably go to Raw. And I think that the tag division, is a mess on Raw, so maybe somebody new can help out. I don't know. There was something else I was going to say, though, about...
Have Dixie Carter, sign Dixie Carter to be EC3's manager?
No, that was not what I was going to say.
I'm just...
But,
someone told me that once. That's why I brought that up.
Right.
Gosh, I can't remember what I was going to say. Aaron?
Well,
Aaron.
I wonder if Lars Sullivan is going to be like the new Snitsky, or is he going to be the new Ryback, where he's going to be pushed for a little bit, he'll win some squash matches, maybe he'll do some comedy like Snitsky did, maybe he'll punt a baby, who knows, but I feel like he's going to fade out pretty quickly. Like I like Lars Sullivan. I think he's a nice throwback to the 70s and 80s, but I feel like that guy is going to end up as a comedy wrestler in 6 months. I really feel EC3 of this batch. I think like he's the guy that's going to go the furthest. He has the look. He has the sports entertainment vibe to him that I think will, in the long run, lead to him going the furthest of all those people. I think EC3 will probably end up on SmackDown, but could end up on Raw. Raw's a 3-hour show, so I could see more of these talents ending up on Raw. Lacey Evans, maybe SmackDown. Maybe Nikki Cross ends up with Sanity, maybe not, who knows. But yeah, I'm not really sure how well any of these people are going to do. I think it's going to be tough for all of them to really break out. They may get initial pushes, but I could see those pushes fizzling out relatively quickly.
They're still like working on the last call-ups. Like there's not really much happening with the last batch that came through still,
Exactly. Yeah.
So what are they going to do with these ones? I mean, maybe except Almas and Zelina Vega have a little bit going for them, but
right. That's tough because you got so much TV.
Yeah. Like I could see Heavy Machinery feuding with AOP. Did they ever feud in NXT, Big G? I can't remember. I don't. I absolutely see Nikki Cross.
I think they might have. I'm not too sure off the top of my head.
But that's what I see them doing. I absolutely see Nikki Cross going with Sanity. But maybe that will get Sanity put on TV. Maybe it's going to take Nikki Cross to make them truly insane and have them get TV time. Lacey Evans, I don't know too much about her, and usually what happens with that is they end up getting the pushes. So we'll see with that. EC3, it is what it is. He has the look. We know he used to be Derek Bateman, I think, right?
Yeah.
Was that his name? And
yes.
So he's got a good shot to get to that, intercontinental mid-card level type matches, hopefully beyond, Nakamura and Rusev, who obviously hit the glass ceiling. But Lars Sullivan, it's all or nothing with the big guys. We saw what happened, like Aaron mentioned, with Snitsky, with Ryback. Strowman technically really wasn't in NXT, and he's had a pretty good run, but never could get the brass ring yet. So, but he got pushed. So I think Lars Sullivan has the best shot to catch Vince McMahon's eye. But you're right. Too many of these at once. It's not Mania season, and it doesn't feel important. And I think that's why our Velveteen Dreams and people like that haven't been called up yet, because they're going to get the important call-ups. Mm-hmm. But with that said, Vince Russo once said this in his show, NXT is like a wrestling, and other people, NXT is like a wrestling factory where they produce wrestlers, not superstars. We need superstars. I know that it's an era of professional wrestling and people like the match, the longer matches, this and that, but it's WWE, entertainment. We need superstars. So I don't know.
That's why I say EC3.
Yeah. I hope so, because I like him. He used to be called the Deviant up here near Cleveland in the indie scene. So I would like to see him, but I just got that Vince McMahon, Lars Sullivan vibe. So that's all I got for this week. I wanted to keep the show around an hour. Any last thoughts, Big G?
Do you think they're going to be called up all at the same time, or do you think it's going to be like different intervals? one superstar a month, or
What, all these new batches?
Maybe they'll
Yeah.
all debut in the Rumble.
I think between now and the Rumble, they'll all be up.
I could see that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Okay, yeah,
like 2002 when Goldust, Godfather, Val Venus, Mr. Perfect, they were all announced. Like, I could see that happening where they show vignettes for all these guys and gals that they'll be part of the Royal Rumble matches, and maybe we'll get a few other surprises as well.
I was gonna say how long? I don't know how long we've been going, but what do you think they're gonna do with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn coming back soon?
Ooh, that's a good question.
But what's their status? Because they both had different injuries at different times.
Right.
So I don't even know what their statuses are.
Yeah, apparently, like, I think Owens and Zayn weren't scheduled to come back till like February or March. Ow, that hurt. I think, yeah, that was loud. But I think that I'd like to see them come back as a babyface tag team, you know? I definitely think that Zayn is a good heel, but I think Zayn and Owens, when they come back, they're going to get a huge reaction from the fans. So why not capitalize on it? If they're both ready at the same time, let them be a babyface tag team. I think Owens, you know, could have a good babyface run. Yeah, he's a good heel, but the fans cheer for him anyways. So why not just go with them as a babyface tag team? They have the chemistry, so let them do their thing and just be a great babyface team for a while. See where it goes. Change things up.
And I wish WWE would really invest in tag teams. Just when you think they do, they don't. You know, it's just crazy.
I feel like Owens and Zayn could be like the star tag team and really help rebound Raw's tag team division and get that going again, give that some momentum.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't know how, I mean, obviously if they're due back in a month or two, this won't work, but why not bring them back unexpectedly as a tag team at WrestleMania, like the Hardys? Do you think they would get a good pop if that happened?
Yes.
Remember the Hardys pop? Yeah, so
Yeah.
there you go. But that's, you know, it definitely gives them both time to make sure they're 100%.
Right, absolutely.
But any other thoughts on KO and Zayn that Aaron brought up? Caitlin, Big G?
No, I brought up the question, but I mean,
Well,
Aaron, you brought it up and Aaron elaborated on it. What was that, Caitlin?
I just said that like Sami Zayn's little thing that they showed last night said soon on it. So I mean, I don't know how soon is, but it seems like he's closer to ready to come back.
Yeah.
well, they said the same thing with Kevin Owens coming soon, so.
Right. Maybe Royal Rumble, we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we will see, and there'll always be more to talk about, so we can do the next review. So that's it, folks. Let's go around and tell everybody probably what they already know. Caitlin, I'll start with you.
NoDQ.com/Caitlin for my Twitter, and I'm wearing the ladies shirt right now that you can get off Pro Wrestling Tees. And that's all for me.
Big G. Thank you, Caitlin.
NoDQ.com/Big G. Takes me to my Twitter page. Instagram is _Big G. Jeffrey Heltel on Facebook. NoDQ.com/shirts. Caitlin, like she said, she's wearing the Ladies of NoDQ. If you want Virtue Fire, get the hashtag Fire Virtue shirt. I am wearing good old JM's Talk Wrestling shirt, repping JM. And that's it for the Big G, y'all.
Yeah, make sure you guys follow Jeff, not just Big G, but also follow Jeff Meacham over at NoDQ.com/Jeff. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding the Royal Rumble. I know it's still quite a ways away, but it's going to be a great pay-per-view, I'm sure. I'm really looking forward to it. Because
all right, everybody, save that right there. Record it onto your device, and exactly what Aaron just said there, and we will replay that during his No DQ Live after the Royal Rumble.
Okay, sounds good. It's gonna be a very memorable No DQ Live. I'll just say that.
All right, sweet. All right, well, everybody plugged everything, so how about me now? Virtue on Twitter, at NoDQ_Virtue. You can go to NoDQ.com/Virtue with a lowercase v, and every, Wednesday nights now, you see Big G and I, we get, 9, 10, 11 live viewers.
Yeah.
But then I repost it on NoDQ.com, and it gets a few hundred views. So anyway, check me out there. Check Big G out there. So thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Big G. Thank you, Aaron Rift. The NoDQ review is together, stronger than ever. And if there's other people that you want to see back on the NoDQ review, just let us know. If you want to see a certain combination of people, let us know. I know everyone wants me off of it, but that's cool. But you know what? We still want to give the fans what they want, right? Then, now,
forever.
See everybody next
Wait a minute. You forgot dance break.
Overtime. What's that?
You forgot dance break.
Oh, I did. Dance break.
Okay, I can't dance for the life of me. Hey,
Big T, dance break. I did forget about it, which means we were having
Caitlin's the only one here that can dance good. So
we were having some good wrestling discussion. So there you go. How did you know I was going to do that, by the way? It was supposed to be a secret.
You told us.
All right. See everybody next time. Thanks for watching.